The Dark Forest Baja Style Upper Replacement Grille that we have here would be a great choice for the 2015 through 17 F-150 owners who are going for more of that Raptor look or styling, but without any massive logos or lettering, making for a very clean appearance. Now the grille itself will pack automotive grade ABS plastic, very durable, along with that dark charcoal color, just like the OE Raptor grille, and finally, all of your accent lighting up top here for right around 250 bucks. Now the site does call this a strong 1 out of 3 wrenches and 30 minutes to complete, but honestly guys, don't get discouraged if this one takes you a little bit longer, as removing the factory grille and surrounding trim can be a little tricky if you've never done it before. But regardless, hang through my jabbering here for a little bit and we'll walk you through the install later in the video. So swapping grills on your F-150 is a relatively easy and inexpensive way to totally change up the look of the front end and really the mood of the entire truck. And on that same topic, one of the nice things about the grille category in particular is the sheer number of options you have to choose from, ranging from mild to wild and of course everything in between. Now this grille in particular is of course based off the OE factory Raptor grille and does mimic some of the key ingredients of that grille, including the basic shape, the color, that honeycomb design here for the grille portion, and last but not least, the LED running lights going across the top. But the biggest departure from the factory Raptor grille with this particular option is of course the lack of any lettering or logos running across the middle, which I personally feel makes for a much cleaner look. Materials are going to be very similar to that of your factory grille as well, as you will find the durable and lightweight ABS plastic throughout, which has been designed, by the way, using OEM Ford CAD data, which is basically going to allow this thing to fit perfectly without any flaws, imperfections, or major gaps. Now last but not least here, gang, the grille does include the 3 amber LED running lights, which we've already pointed out of course, but it also includes the harness needed to get everything up and running for the first time. Now these lights are going to tap into your factory headlights, meaning anytime your headlights or parking lights have been switched on, the running lights here will illuminate as well. But now we want to shed a little bit more light on that installation, pun intended, and to do so, here's a detailed walkthrough of the job as promised, along with a quick tool breakdown.
The tools used for this install are a 1/4 inch ratchet, 8mm socket, 10mm socket, Phillips head screwdriver, wire cutters, wire crimpers, wire strippers, a clip tool, a heat gun, electrical tape, assorted electrical connectors, and wire ties. All right, so the first step of this install is going to be to pop the hood and remove your upper radiator cover. I'm going to do this with a clip tool. I'm going to pop out all these clips, get access to the bolts and clips that I need to remove my grille. Next, I'm going to remove the 1 push clip and 2 screws on the inner fender to remove the headlight bezel from around the headlight. Now I'm going to remove these 2 screws and pop my fender trim off. Now we can unplug the active grille connectors at the top. Next, I'm going to remove the 4 bolts at the top, as well as the 2 on the sides to remove my grille assembly. Now that we've got the whole grille assembly off of the truck and on the table, we can start taking it apart to install our new grille. What we're going to want to do is remove these 4 push clips here at the top, as well as the 4 bolts on the sides. All right, so just so I can make my life a little bit easier before I install the grille into the active grille portion, I'm actually going to pre-install my wire harness and leave a pigtail hanging out for me to make my connections into my running lights. So now I've plugged in all my lights and routed my wire harness where I want it to be. And I've got my wire harness running over to where I'm going to make my connection on the vehicle. And now I'm ready to throw the rest of the grille assembly together and put it back in the car. So before I can throw my grille back onto the vehicle, I'm gonna actually start off by splicing into my running light wires. I'm doing this so that when I turn my running lights on, the lights on the grille will light up. Now there's a bunch of different ways that you can wire up your grille, and you can do it however you so choose. I'm gonna run into these running lights on the vehicle, so that way it's a switch in the vehicle with a fuse. So I'm actually going to cut these 2 wires and splice in a small connector for each power and ground for the running lights on the grille, and then I will use a butt connector to put them back together with a connector. Now I'm just using a heat gun to heat shrink my connections to make sure that they're weather tight. And now I'm just going to wrap these wires with a little bit of electrical tape for extra protection. Now that we have our splices made, we can reinstall our grill and finish this up. And now we can reinstall our hardware in the reverse order of removal. Make sure you don't forget to plug in your active grill, as this will throw a check engine light if you don't. And now we can throw in our headlight bezels on either side and wrap up this install. And that's going to wrap up this review and install of the Dark Forest Baja Upper Replacement Grille with LED lighting for your 15 to 17 F-150. Thanks for watching, and for all things F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.